Welcome to the Highland League Weekly preview show. I'm Ryan Cryle. Here's Callum with all the key information on this weekend's main highlights game.
So the big game for us this weekend on Highland League Weekly is the game at Harlow Park between Inverurie Locos and Huntly. It's the second time in a space of a week that the sides have met. It was Locos who prevailed last Saturday 2-1 at Christie Park in the preliminary round of the GPH Builders Merchants Highland League Cup. However, it's Huntly that has had the better start in the league out of the two sides. Their win against Lossiemouth on Wednesday means they've taken 7 points out of a possible 9 to start the campaign. Meanwhile, Locos were defeated by Formartine United, which leaves them on 0 points after 3 league games. You'll be able to see on Monday's Highland League Weekly whether the Railwaymen can get off the mark or if the Black and Golds can get their revenge for last weekend.
Okay, competition time. This is the first one I've had the pleasure of announcing the winner of so far this season. Last week's question was Scott Barber, great player, former Highland League Player of the Year, former Golden Boot winner. He is now second in Fraserborough's all-time goal-scoring charts, but who's he behind? The answer was, of course, Mikey Stephen, the legend, Michael Stephen, and our winner via email. We had a few correct answers, but the winner that was picked is Kevin Gray. He answered, don't know if I said this already, by email, did I? Anyway, Kevin, get in touch with us by the email, sport@pressandjournal.co.uk. Tell us whether you want a Highland League Weekly bespoke mug, whether, slightly less likely, you want a Crystal Paul III tea towel, and we'll get that sent out to you. P.S. Gavin Sutherland, you were our competition winner 2 weeks ago. But you haven't been in touch yet. It's sport@pressandjournal.co.uk to tell us your address, your contact details, what you would like, whether it's a mug or a tea towel. So please get in touch. There's always another chance to win one of these pieces of merchandise. This week's chance is Wick Academy player manager Gary Manson made his 700th club appearance in midweek when he sent himself on late in the game. Who were they playing, Callum, again? Clatnacudden. When, though? Which year did Gary Manson make his Wick Academy debut? Answer that correctly in the comments below on social media or by emailing sport@pressandjournal.co.uk. You too could win one of these items. Good luck.
The second game for us on Highland League Weekly this weekend is Formartine United versus Buckie Thistle at North Lodge Park, and here are 3 things you need to know. After their win against Forest Mechanics on Wednesday night, Buckie Thistle are the only side in the Breedon Highland League with a perfect 100% record. They've won 4 out of 4 to start the season. Formartine are very strong at home. Their last defeat at North Lodge Park was on the 23rd of December last year against Fraserburgh. Since then, they've won all 12 games they've played at Pitmedden. Buckie had the better of the meetings between the two sides last season. They prevailed 1-0 and 2-1 in the league and also won 3-1 when the teams met in the Highland League Cup. However, Formartine did win on penalties in the Evening Express Aberdeenshire Cup.
It's quite a big club. I've never really played here before, but it'll be good to get my first home game, see what like a crowd it'll be. Good few boys stepping up from North Calloway and see how we all get on. If we all do well, then it'll be a good show for the North Calloway League, but there's good quality in there and then boys can take a step up.
Okay, Crystal Paul time. Now this is my first Crystal Paul appearance this season and I'm cast in the role of Crystal Paul because Paul III isn't here. I understand, having watched the show so far, that Callum's had a bit of the sign over our mystic, which is a bit strange.
Maybe I've just used up all my beginner's luck, but there we go. 7 points to 2, you can't argue with it.
We'll see if I can get some points for Paul this week. First game, Inverurie Locos against Huntly. The sides have met already in the GPH Builders Merchants Highland League Cup. Locos tight winners on that occasion. How do you see it going this time?
Well, I think it'll go the other way. I mean, that was an important win for Locos, but I think when you get these sort of games, I know it's not quite back to back because they played in midweek, but sort of playing the same team in quick succession, it's rare that you get the same result, and I think Huntly with their bit more confidence from how they've played in the league, and they'll be fired up to overturn what happened last Saturday. I would just fancy them to nick it 2-1.
I'm going to go for the same scoreline. My reasoning being, I think Locos, their form in the league so far hasn't been great, and that's got to be maybe sort of weighing on them slightly, and that's where I think Huntley are going to come out on top. Our second game,
Formartine United, Buckie Thistle. You can have first go at this one. Okay,
so Buckie, great team, unbeaten, 100% record so far, 4 from 4. Formartine, you were telling me that they were looking pretty good at Inverurie Locos in midweek. I do think they're two strong teams. I do think Formartine are one of the other big teams that aren't Breedon or Buckie that seem to be able to, on occasion, cause those sides a bit more trouble. I'm going to go for 2-2, Buckie to lose, 100% record, but not lose, draw the game, Formartine to claim a point.
Well, having seen, I saw Buckie last week at Fraserburgh and then saw Formartine on Wednesday night in Inverurie. I was thoroughly impressed with both of them, which probably makes it more difficult for me, so I would go along the same lines, and I think it'll be a draw. And I think from a Buckie perspective, I said this last week, I think in the won handsomely at Belsley, but they might come away and I think a point in North Lodge Park for any team's not a bad result, and I think it'll be a wee bit tighter. I'll go for 1 each, but we're sort of agreeing a wee bit here. I would say draw as well.
Okay, so we could both be right, could both be wrong. Just a reminder of the rules, of course. If we get the correct result in terms of which team comes our outcome, that's the right word, 1 point. That's worth, if we get the correct scoreline, that's worth a 3-point bonanza. So, get the right scoreline could be a big swing in terms of the standings. But yeah, we'll need to wait until the weekend to see what happens.
The Broch weren't in action in midweek, but they'll be looking to bounce back after last weekend's loss to Buckie. They're facing a Devon Vale team who will also be hoping to bounce back, losing their unbeaten record on Wednesday when they lost at home to Turriff.
Visitors Nairn, they're still winless in the Breedon Highland League, went down 2-0 to Rothes in midweek. Champions Brechin, meanwhile, they'll be looking forward to getting back to their bread and butter, having gone down to heavy 4-0 defeat against Hibs B on Tuesday evening. That contradicted what has been a strong start in the Highland League.
The Can suffered their first defeat of the season on Wednesday night against Buckie, and they're facing a Keith side who weren't in action in midweek but are hoping to make it 2 wins on the spin.
This is all greyed out because I actually made a terrible error the first time we recorded this, saying that Turriff United won their first game of the league campaign in midweek against Clacknacuddon. Now, Clacknacuddon are of course the team they're playing this Saturday. Turriff United's midweek win at Princess Royal Park 1-0 against Devon Vale was actually their second of the league campaign. They'll be looking to get a third on Saturday.
The Coasters are still searching for their first league points this season, and they'll face a formidable test against a Catarchs outfit that have won 3 of their 4 league games.
Now, I understand from my colleague Andy Skinner, who was at Dudgeon Park on Wednesday, that Strathspey competed well in losing to Brora Rangers, but it's been the same old story so far for Strathspey. They've played 3 games, they've got no points. Bankside, meanwhile, they lost their 100% record last time out, but they're still unbeaten and they'll be determined to get a win in Granted.
It's 2 sides who are both on 4 points, having picked up their first wins of the season on Wednesday night. In the Scorries' 3-0 success against Clacknacuddon, player-manager Gary Manson made his 700th appearance for the club.
That's it for this week's Highland League Weekly preview show. Just a reminder, we'll be filming Inverurie Locos against Huntley and Formartine United against leaders Buckie Thistle this weekend, and you can catch the highlights of those as well as analysis of all the other results on Monday's Highland League Weekly on the Press and Journal website for subscribers. In the meantime, you might be watching this on social media, but please follow us on Twitter, join our Highland League Weekly Facebook group, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Probably the best place to keep up with all this stuff. We're putting out all the content. You can also sign up to the Press and Journal's Highland League Weekly newsletters. If you're watching this on the website, there's a link to do that somewhere on the page. We'll see you Monday. But before that, enjoy the football, whichever games you're watching. this weekend.